Okay, on today's video, we're going to talk about how I made more than $3 million selling mattresses, specifically the mattresses that you see that you get in the mail, sent to you through the mail. Common company that the top one that everybody knows of in the mattress world that does that is the Casper mattress. So another way that people describe this is bed in a box. It's one of those foam mattresses, and then they can roll them up, and then therefore they can ship them to you through the mail. Casper was the first one that did it. And then a whole bunch of different other companies actually do it now today. Once Casper was wildly successful with it, but there was another person that also sold a foam, bed in a box type mattress that we sold $3 million plus in revenue. It's still going to this day, way more than 3 million in actuality, but that was up to the point where I've actually noticed it and witnessed it last. $3 million in those sales, tapping into our leading competitors' followers by PPC ads. So in other words, we ran PPC ads for the company. We targeted their followers, i.e. in this case, Casper Mattress itself, to generate, and then ultimately generated more than $3 million in sales, plus meaning more than 3 million at 1,000% or a little bit more ROI at the same time. So not just a lot of top line revenue, but a lot of profit as well. So I'm going to show you here on this particular video how you can do the same thing for yourself. If you're in the mattress market yourself, you can literally do it for this. Go ahead and try it. If you're not in the mattress market, this still will work if you're selling a product. It doesn't really matter what it is. I'll admit the same thing can be done for services, but really it's more so for you guys that actually sell a product out there. Works definitely better. So you could watch it anyway. Maybe you could invent a way to morph this into a strategy for a service as well and decide if it's for you, and just learn something about business here in the process. If not, so anyway, I'm going to go through actually what it is, how to do it for yourself, and then go through some other companies where it's worked. So you can also see other examples of different products where it's worked in the past, so you can also know how to apply this for yourself. So anyway, let's get started here. Now, why go after customers on your own who may not even have the money to buy what it is you sell when you could go after your competitors' customers themselves? So in other words, okay, what I'm referring to here is like Google ads or Bing ads, like the search engine ads. That's the easiest thing to get working in a lot of cases, but if you're in a competitive market, particularly, the search ads are, particularly if you're in a market where there's a lot of investment funds coming in, the ads are going to be so saturated in a lot of places that you just can't make a lot of ROI no matter how you set it up. This bed in a box mattress is one. Another one would be like, I can't think of too many other ones that are like where I can't compete, but just to give you a mental example, like promo products, there's a zillion companies doing it, or printing company, there's a zillion companies doing it. You're competing with everybody and their cat and their dog. But and part of the things that make it not work is you can go there, of course, and the person that you're paying for, you don't even know if they're going to buy. You don't know if they're just looking around. Are they tire kickers? So ultimately, it's a crapshoot. Of course, there's some there. Otherwise, there would not be anybody advertising there. But wouldn't it be so much nicer to go after people that we effectively know have money and we know are interested in buying the product for sure, not just browsing around, doing research, all this other stuff. Most importantly, though, going after somebody who we know has the money for the product that we sell, because we're going to go after a specific customer or competitor that we have that's selling it at the same price we're selling it and have no extra quality that the customer would know of, or a little more than what we're selling it for, which would be even a little bit better and still has the same or worse quality as us. Because if we go after them, then we know that they'll buy ours too. Okay, it's just a better way to get into finding customers in markets where the market is rather saturated and there's not a lot of people they're on vice versa. There already is a lot of people there, and you're having trouble maybe making the Google search ads work. But respectively, Google search ads, even if that works, you could consider this as well, because this is a method that works for a lot of companies out there that sell a product, and I've done this many times myself already. So anyway, I'm going to go into how to actually target your followers. So basically, how to go after our leading competitors' followers with our PPC ads, so we can get those customers, i.e. followers that they have on, particularly in this case, Facebook, to come to us and make a 1,000% ROI or return on our ad spend for ourselves, and generate these millions of dollars in sales that I did for this bed-in-a-box company here as well. So frankly, what we're doing is we're going after in our market, we're going after the leading competitor that's on Facebook, because almost everybody's on Facebook now have a company page. If we're in a large enough market, of course, where there is our competitors are on Facebook and they do have thousands of different followers already, we could go after somebody who only buys the product once, and then just the people that follow our competitor, that person has interest in that product already, we can go after the people on their follower list. Essentially, was what this whole strategy is about. If you want to go out, if somebody, oftentimes there's repeat business in your market, well, then you can go after your leading competitors' Facebook follower list, to go after their actual, the repeat business, the repeat customers they have, their customer list or customer Rolodex that they have, which is basically also the followers that they have on their Facebook page, and get that repeat customer for yourself to switch over to you using the same method as well. So it depends on what, basically, in other words, it just works if you're just selling a product one time, like a mattress, or you're not going to buy it again, this method works. If you're going to have somebody buy, like you're selling electrical components for business, you're going to buy over and over again, you can get the customer for that type of business too. It works both ways, and method works for both. So anyway, you get the idea. We're looking for a leading competitor on Facebook. They got followers. We're going to advertise to our followers. Now, what do you need? A competitor with, more than likely, if we're not in a large enough market where our competitor doesn't really have more than 10,000 likes on their page, then this method probably isn't going to be that worthy for you or work at all. Let's just put it that way. So again, it's good for really saturated markets where Google search is really competitive, but on the flip side, this is a great way to get around and still be able to make PPC work for your business. But respectively, like I said, I would never give up on just do one or the other. I would work, because both, if you work hard enough, at it will work. But for this, you got to have a large enough market where the top guy that you're going after here, which is what we're going to start with, it could go after more than one competitor, but for the most part, it's a top one who's going to have the 10,000 plus likes. And then now we have a nice juicy following that this Facebook page has, that has customers on it. Not all will be customers, but a whole lot will, and we know that person should be buying our product instead of that one that's our leading competitors, okay? So what you do is you create a Facebook ad. You could think of a different way to spend this for yourself, but if you just want to keep it simple, just do what I do. And that ad is going to target the competitors' followers, like we were talking about before. And how you do that is through the targeting settings on your Facebook ads campaign. You're going to run a newsfeed ad on Facebook. You could do it on Instagram too if you wanted, technically. Should work fine. And we're going to, with that, you're under the targeting settings, you're going to type in this case, with the Mattress bed-in-a-box company, we targeted Casper. So it'll literally let you target the competitors' followers. What pops up, that's literally what you're getting as their followers. Technically, you're getting a little more than that. A lot of people don't realize the big part of what Facebook, why they're so powerful as an ad seller, if you will, is that, well, before they were getting like Apple's phone data, and people, all the stuff you were doing on your phone, Facebook was knowing about it, which they're cutting that off. Apple's cutting that off, but also they got Facebook like tags on tons of different websites. You know, the little like button. So they got information about, you know, when somebody goes from Casper.com and they go to like the page, now they're going to Facebook. They now know that that person, you know, what activity they had. They were from Casper. So they also will include that in there. But mostly you're talking about the following that they have, the 10,000 plus following they have. So you could get both. Either way, they're both the same, respectively, in my opinion. But actually, to be more specific, the followers are even better. Because if somebody's been to the site, you don't know if that person was really going to buy the product or not. But they're probably, either they bought the product already, or they're soon probably going to buy the product if you're going to actually go ahead and like the page, which is why this strategy works and why I like the strategy. So you're going to have your competitor pop up there. If you see your competitor pop up, it won't if they don't have more than 10,000 likes respectively or about that. But if it does pop up, you should be thrilled because this, you know, everything else you need just falls into place automatically, which is you create an ad to target that competitor that pops up in the targeting settings when you type in the competitor's name there, and you simply have an ad that says $100 off any order, and then just simply show the product there. So in our case, the ad showed, you know, the client that we were working with, their Better in a Box mattress, and just said $100 off any order or any mattress. I can't remember if it was any order or any mattress. And then it had what they call, this is a dotted box like this. It's called a Johnson box. You can Google that if you want. It's a psychological thing that people are, your eyes are drawn to it, and generally speaking, you put a coupon in there. That's why they use that in newspaper for years. But inside the Johnson box on the same ad, you put the discount code to be able to get the $100 off. If you're selling something for $500 plus, I'm giving $100 off. If you're selling something for less than $100, I'm giving $50 off or whatever. Now, I know what you're saying, Corey, how the hell am I going to be able to make any money if I'm giving them $100 off? Well, if you really want to know, I'm not promising that, you know, good PPC that gets 1,000% ROI like basically right away or within a couple of months running a campaign is not going to be a little bit gray area here. Respectively, everybody knows that people do this. You raise in our case, we could raise the product cost by $100 to start with. So instead the mattress, $700 before, now it's $800. Now we have room to run a $100 off coupon. So yes, it's a little sketchy, but yes, it freaking works really well. And so that when, you know, obviously they're already in market for Casper's mattress. They see our mattress. They see it's $100 off. Of course they're going to click on it because they're interested. Maybe they are going to buy right away. One thing that you'll do, in case you were doing it for this very market, you're a Better in a Box seller, you're going to run that so there's an ad frequency, which is how many times the ad gets shown to the same person. You want to have an ad frequency of 7 to 10 here. So once it's shown basically 10 times to the same person and they haven't bought yet, well then you basically screw them. We're not going to advertise you anymore. But that way they see the ad. They may not respond right away. That is common. But even if they do respond, you want them to click on it more than once because every time they go back to the site, they're more likely to convert more than the previous time. So the first time they'll convert it, you know, let's say 5%. And then the second one, they're going to convert more like 10%. And then the third one, they're going to convert more like 15%. And it just keeps going. If you didn't know that, that's certainly the case. So that's why you're going to make sure it gets shown to each person on the followers list of our competitor 10 times, minimum. Okay, on top of that, once they get to our site, we're not just going to give up on them right away. They're going to get to our site, then they're going to keep seeing the ad over and over again for the next 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, basically. So that we max out the amount of times that they're going to really make sure they see it and make sure they think about it and make sure they remember about it when they get paid so you get the purchase, all these different things. But then you're also going to do heavy remarketing to this person. So you already know that person's in market for your product. They were in market for competitor's product. You know they should be buying this. All you got to do is just make one little teeny argument to get them to realize yours is just this much better and you got them. Of which the $100 off, generally speaking, for like a $700 product like in this case, which most of the other ones are selling it at, was enough to get that person just to stop in their tracks and buy when they were on the newsfeed looking for family photos, and now they see this. They're like, I was going to get a mattress. They have $100 off. Looks basically the same. All right. But if they don't buy, and they don't buy from the 10 other times we show them the ad, that's going to keep going automatically. We're going to have a separate campaign here, a remarketing campaign. I'm going to have a 5 to 10 ad series where I'm going to show them one remarketing ad, and then right behind it, they're going to see another one, and then right behind it, they're going to see another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and another. 5 to 10 different ones, and you're going to think out all the things that people that would convince a person that was already in the market for that mattress would need to see and hear to buy, and you're going to put that into bite-sized chunks for them in that remarketing campaign. To give you an example of how we did it for this company, so you know how to do it for yourself, we started out with an independent review. The mattress was reviewed on a mattress site. We put an ad up saying it was great reviewed. It was well reviewed on that site, and we linked to the site. So now they know it's a really great mattress, and it's 4 times as powerful what somebody else says about you than what you say about yourself. If you have stuff to say about yourself, that's fine, but if you also have what else somebody else says about you, you add that in. You don't do one or the other, but you do more. The more remarketing pieces you have in your sequence, the more it will work because it builds. So anyway, they see that. The next day, they see a feature. We'll write a blog post about the top leading feature of our product, which makes it the best product in the market. And you have the ad that mentions what the best feature is, and then they go to the article and they read it. Then the next day they see the second top feature. In the ad, we say why, mattress, it runs cooler than any other mattress. And then we send them to a blog post that actually shows our experiment showing it's cooler compared to other products. The second ad, which was the first feature I mentioned, would say it's great for side sleepers. We know a lot of people are side sleepers, so then I'm a side sleeper, and then they go read why it's good for side sleepers, and then bang, we got that person who's the side sleeper, just to give you an example. Then the fourth ad they see is a testimonial saying how great the mattress is for side sleepers. So again, half of people are side sleepers. Now that half of our potential audience, now they automatically think we're the only mattress that they can buy at that time. So they're totally forgetting about Casper at that point. Now they're only thinking about our mattress, which should be the goal of this remarketing sequence. Then the next day they see another testimonial. Maybe this testimonial covers the other half. Back sleepers. It's also great for back sleepers too. Ultimately, what you're doing with all this is you're showing people all these different messages, and you're trying to hit all the main points. Some people, they won't buy because they don't trust you. Another one won't buy because they want the best technology. Another one won't buy and you're laying everything out, and you're putting detailed information about each thing in your series so that the person who cares about side sleeping can go read a whole article about side sleeping. Yes, it takes a bunch of time to set this up, but if you want to make millions of dollars with this ad campaign, then do it. So, you'll have another testimonial, like I said, though, and again, when they click on that, you don't take them back to the product page. You take them to the page with all the rest of the testimonials on it. You assume every one of these ads are going to go to more information. If they want to buy, they know how to make it back to your site and buy. Respectively, you can have one ad in there that sends the people to the product page saying that to order, but respectively, this first ad campaign up here that covers $100 off, that links to the product page directly, and that takes care of that. Which is simply there to remind the user, hey, don't forget to order. And then the last ad here, this is a real sequence we use for this pretty much. Pretty much, not exactly the same. Last ad, a review showing what our Trustpilot reviews are, what our Google reviews are, that kind of thing. So it just goes back to what somebody else says about us is more powerful than what we can say about ourselves. Even though what we say about ourselves, assuming that we give them we ran tests, people won't believe that stuff, but it's ultra, ultra good and believable. If you got your own testing and you add that with other people's testing, you add on your site very, very detailed information along with other people's information that ain't so detailed, but it's said by them to back up anything else that you're saying now that's super detailed. They all automatically believe it now at that point. So anyway, and these don't stop. You can show each ad to them 10 times as well. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. They're going to see 60 of these remarketing ads. They're going to see this ad 10 times, originally that has $100 off, 70 times for just one person, 70 attempts to get the sale. Ultimately, you got to keep in mind that part of the reason why it didn't work out with this client, I get arguments all the time with clients. They don't realize on a Facebook campaign like this, somebody will click the ad and it will go to buy. And the ROI is actually more than what you think. Because what happens is the behavior is, okay, it's $100 off. I got the discount code, but I don't get paid till Friday. Then what happens? They go to Google on Friday after they get paid and they type in your brand name or company name on Google, and then they go and they buy. So if it's within 30 days, Facebook will pick it up. But if it's more than 30 days, you don't pick those up. So respectively, if you wanted to make sure you count as many conversions as you can, make your $100 off only good for 30 days. Or another way to track it is you say, you send them to a landing page and they got to enter their email address to get the discount code sent to them to track the campaign a little bit better. I do that variation once in a while. For clothing, it works pretty well that I've done it with there before. But if it's a lot of times, you're going to get somebody this close to buying, but they just don't have enough money left yet, or they're just teetering on the fence, and after 30 days, they're going to look like, you know, your Google ads got it. So just keep in mind, look at your overall sales revenue as it's growing. If you can, keep your ad budget the same, try to grow the revenue. And then once you know that you can't grow the revenue anymore, increase your ad budget a little bit and have a new revenue target that's a little bit higher. And then once you've hit that revenue target, you raise the ad budget again a little bit more, and you just keep going. So don't rely directly on the Facebook stats here. I know the revenue was a lot more because I can see before they're hovering around 150,000 in sales a month, and then we started executing this strategy, and now it's 300,000. But because the Facebook stats don't show it completely, because it's not tracking perfectly the way that people want it to track perfectly, and every single person who sees the ad sees it, they buy instantly or not. Which, by the way, if that was the way the world works, no billboard advertising, no TV advertising would work. No, every person that does that stuff is an idiot and they're stupid and none of it works. This is not how things work. Of course, it's nice to be able to track some of the sales. It just won't track all of the sales. And some of the sales you track can guide your campaigns. It is not going to track, though, all of the sales. Anyway, just a side detour to all that. So you get the general idea. That's really all it is right here. Actually, that is all it is. You have a marketing sequence. You raise your price by whatever amount the discount ad will have. You run the discount ad as a separate campaign to the remarketing campaign. I'm also going to run, so this remarketing campaign is done with Facebook. And I'm also going to mirror all the Facebook ads, and I'm going to shrink them down so I can have regular banner ads that can run on Google's display network. So if they're not on Facebook too much, and they just are on it sometimes, I'm going to have my remarketing get them when they're on a news site, checking the news, or what have you. As long as there's banner ads there, basically, then my ad will still get in front of them there. And I'm getting the full value out of the 70 cents or whatever I paid to have them click on my $100 off ad in the first place and get the full return from it, and also get the full return from the limited amount of followers that are there. Casper has hundreds of thousands of followers. So for us to be able to generate, $3 million a year in sales, or not a year, but 3 million plus in sales from this campaign, it just keeps going and going and going. If you only have 10,000, followers, you will suck up all the demand, and then you'll have to shut it off for a while and then turn it back on eventually. Or you could just run it at a much lower budget. It will get a trickle of sales, but it'll just keep going and you don't have to worry about it. But you'll know how much if you're going too much, because the ad frequency, like I said, generally each person will see it 10 times. So different people, you could have it so that make sure your ad frequency doesn't go too high, keep your budget low, and then you can do things that way. Or you could just plug it as hard as you can, then shut it off, and then wait, some time or what have you, or just extract everything you can out of it. But for this, we were running $1,000+ a day in advertising for this when it was scaled up, and it just ran and ran and ran. Okay. Respectively, if you eventually make this work, by the way, you can do a lookalikes campaign once you get 1,000 customers from it and expand it even more. So you don't have to just rely on the followers. You can do that, and that's your bridge to make, to go into a different strategy. That the follower campaign got you kicked off. That's the low-hanging fruit, the easy thing that you can do that maybe not have all the legs you want, but will get you going, to get you the data, to have the lookalikes data, to be able to find customers through that lookalikes algorithm that Facebook has all on its own. Same thing could be said, by the way, with Google's Google Ads. They have a similar to algorithm that you can run display ads on, and if you get 1,000 customers, I would also run similar to display ads there. Facebook's lookalike algorithm, much more accurate and better, but similar to can work. You just have to just figure out how much the traffic's worth, do good tracking. Once you realize what the similar to algorithm that Google has is worth, you adjust your bids to make sure your ROI is still there. Okay, it's the same thing with Facebook as well. If you're not getting you want 1,000% ROI, you're not getting it, you simply adjust what you're willing to pay on Facebook or shut your ads off for a while to recharge, so the audience gets banner blindness, or they get ad fatigue, as they call that. They've seen your ads too much, and then you can turn them on later, and their return will come back. But respectively, you got to watch anybody that's a pro at PPC advertising. They watch what they're getting from their ads, and they adjust what they're paying for based upon what's being delivered, so that it doesn't matter if you will get the ROI. It's not to say will you get ROI. It's about how much sales volume can I get at the ROI I want, because I'm going to adjust my bids down to whatever value this traffic is valued at as per my tracking. And like I said, this tracking undercounts somewhat, so you'll have to do it by looking at your overall sales and estimate how far under, how much of your sales aren't being captured by the tracking pixel, and then account for that based upon when you're adjusting your bids and to get your ROI that you want. I went through all that, so I won't beat a dead horse. So anyway, that's the whole strategy in a nutshell. Now, I've done this several other times, as I mentioned here, so there's a few other examples I can explain where we've gotten great results and done the same thing, so you can see for your business that this works just more than just for a mattress company, okay? So, of course, the first thing on my list, I just wrote the mattress company. That, like I said, it got over 1,000% ROI. $700 product, we're getting a $70 cost per conversion from this exact model that I told you here. And, tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales a month from this. When I was with them during the 2-3 years, $3 million in sales already, and it just keeps going to this day. Cumulatively, what the cumulative effect of all that is, given that Casper, though, still has almost, basically 500,000 followers, plus whatever followers that, like I said, Facebook picks up from people that come to the Facebook page from Casper.com, and which adds even more than, that would be more than 500,000. Now you got 1 million, 1.5 million. It's a decent sized audience to market against in Facebook. The second company I did this for was a company who sold a auto exhaust accessory, so a branded auto exhaust. It's one of those things that guys use to make their cars faster. Branded product. We ran it against another direct competitor who is larger again. They have the Facebook followers, and we tapped into those followers, and that worked. We got an 800% ROI, not as good in that particular case, but it worked. Anything that you can see as a kind of a impulse buy, I would say this also works better. However, if we go into the next example here, I did it for an electronic supply company. So they sold chips and capacitors and stuff, things that businesses use to build, circuit boards and stuff like that. That's not an impulse buy. So the ROI on the initial sale is not good. However, if you go back to what I said earlier in the video here, that you can use this to get a customer, but you can also, there's opportunities if you're it's actually more profitable potentially if you're in a market where a lot of people, there's repeat purchases from the same customer. There's a lot more lifetime value, if you will, from all the customers' purchases versus just looking at the initial purchase, because they often need it again and again. And so in that particular case, that was the case. We're basically, getting a cost per sale of $50, and they're only ordering $100 to $200 initial order. And a lot of people would just look at that at face value. Amateur people, I'll just say, and they're going to say that campaign sucks and turn it off. But when you factor in the lifetime value of that customer is like $800, okay, now you got a campaign that has an ROI of 1,600% when you factor all that in. So a lot of you guys who sell again and again to your customers, I encourage you to look at the lifetime value of your customer base and use that to try to define what your cost per sale can be on your initial campaign that you're running here to get that initial customer just to buy once, and then use that to drive what you're doing. It'll slow up it'll gum the works up. You'll have to wait a year to get your ROI back from that person, or 2 or 3 years or whatever, so you'll just have to run it slower initially. Run what you could afford to lose, then reinvest another 10 or 20% in your budget every 3 months or 4 or 5, 6 months, and just keep building it up. That would be what I would recommend to you if you're on a limited budget initially, don't have a lot of money to invest. So it also worked for that. So in other words, it can work for B2B products as well, definitely so, and stuff that isn't necessarily like a mattress, like an auto part accessory, that kind of thing where you have an impulse buy. Even businesses want to save money, okay? So anyway, that's the whole thing in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed the video. I have a ton of other videos on this channel about other money-making PPC strategies for you to look at. If you haven't seen any of my other videos, you should check them out. I have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog, which has step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns that guarantee our clients their results, which you can study and use for yourself if you like. You can see that as well for yourself. And if you have any questions or comments about this strategy or how to do it, anything I didn't cover you think I should have covered, leave a comment down below. I'll get back to you. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel. So with that, I'll wrap it up with that. Good luck with you on your campaigns and tapping into and selling to your competitors' follower list. It's quite profitable. I'd like to see you be successful with it.